video for the last couple years, but we figured we'd move to a new format. The new. I'm here with Dr. Terrezza. I'm Dr. Bell, and here's Dr. Terrezza to say a few words.
Good to meet you, and hopefully you'll come back to see us.
Well, we've been doing it for a while. We enjoy talking directly to patients. We see a number of patients every day, but it's nice to talk about some of the stuff we experience, some of the questions we have. But especially with, it's March is going to be, importance of getting annual eye exam. It's a Save Your Vision month. So we want to kind of go through reasons of why. We get the question a lot of why do you need to come in and have that annual eye exam? I'm seeing okay, Dr. Terrezza, why do I still need to come in and get that annual eye exam?
Because a lot of eye problems, the eye is the window of the soul, as I'm sure you've heard. And a lot of systemic health problems are first seen in the eye. And they can be very subtle, and you just can't go by symptoms to find out if there's something wrong or not. So if you just say you have a symptom of blurred vision, that blurred vision could be due to a bunch of things, and some of them are obvious and some of them aren't. And that's why it's important to get an eye exam.
Well, and that's the reason we dilate most patients every year is because we want to look in the back of the eye and certainly make sure, that the health of the eye is good, because there's a lot of things that a patient could come in with, like glaucoma or diabetic retinopathy, and not even have any signs early on, especially with glaucoma. I mean, most patients don't even know they have it until late stage, and by then they've already lost a lot of vision that they may never get back. So there's a lot of things, unfortunately, with the eyes that patients would never complain about, and we want to be proactive and catch these things at an early stage. So that's one reason certainly you need to be seen certainly on a regular basis so we can look and catch these things on the front end and help the patient.
I had a patient come in today in my Milton office, and he was ADHD, and he'd been doing terrible in school, terrible to the point where he wasn't sure he could stay in school. And the mother brought him in, and sure enough, he needed a prescription. And he had trouble focusing on his homework. He couldn't stay still in school, and he said he hated school, and he was doing so poorly, and of course that reinforced that behavior. And so when I showed him that he could see well, he was stunned, and I told him that's the way other people see, and his mother was just amazed that it made such a difference, and he was so excited, and it was a good day today.
Well, that's, of all the days, that's one of the most rewarding things, I think, is having kids seeing clearly, seeing, what they've never seen before, and just to see their facial expression that first time they put on those glasses. It's certainly rewarding for me to see that.
Yeah, she was worried he wouldn't wear them, but he had no problem, and he was looking forward to it. In fact, I put a rush on him because our office has our own lab, and we make our own glasses from scratch.
I'll go through that. Since March is Save Your Vision Month, and it's within a few days of starting here March, I'll talk about one patient that I had recently that came in with really no complaints. She was just coming in for her annual exam, to get her glasses and to get her contact lenses. And I did hear she was in a pretty bad car wreck probably about 9 months ago, and had some issues with that as far as her spine or back. But as far as the eye, she didn't complain. But I look in there, and certainly she had the start of a retinal detachment and a retinal tear in the back. We got her over to retina, and certainly she had a scleral buckle and had it repaired. But that's an example of a patient that really came in, didn't know that it could have been serious, and if we hadn't looked in the back of the eyes, that one might have gotten worse.
I agree. Those are very rewarding to do that.
Well, along with the health stuff, I think another good thing, or a big thing to talk about, is there's a lot of patients we see that are working from, on the computer 6, 8, 10 hours a day, and even slight prescriptions can make a difference, as far as wearing something to help you to see so your eyes don't have to squint, accommodate, and strain as much looking at the computer. What do you think about computer time and that stuff?
Well, the prediction is, and I tend to get far afield when I talk. So Luxottica, which is on the New York Stock Exchange, the largest optical company in the world, has produced a new set of glasses called Meta, and they copied the name from Facebook. And these glasses are going to replace, or so they say, the phone as an instrument of communication. So these glasses fit on, you can put your prescription in them, and you tap the side of it, and when you tap it, you're able to record what you want as well as read your emails and other things. And 3 surgeons have been fit by me so that while they're doing their surgery, they tap the side of it and they record it. And so it's an automatic scribe that goes into the notes and saves them about 2 hours a day. And so I see the technology thing coming with the computer thing, that you have to have your eyes at maximum potential to do these kinds of jobs and things that are coming in the future. Cybersecurity, robotics, AI, all this stuff is going to hit. And that's why it's important to get your eyes checked to keep up with stuff if you're going to survive.
Well, I know we differ, and we've had this discussion before on the radio as far as blue light. There's a lot of filters, anti-glare, anti-reflective, blue light filters and things like that. I think the jury is still out, as far as does blue light do damage to the eye long term, whether it be the phone or the computer. But I think I would argue that even if it didn't do that, it does help you with contrast, and any edge you can get, is looking at something for 6-8 hours a day. I would say I'm in favor of that.
Well, this AI thing, they've just produced a lens called the Avalux lens, and it'll be out within the next month. And it has a wavelength-specific filter in it for migraine headaches. So people usually have trouble with light, and it's thought to be migraine-inducing. So you can cut out that specific wavelength and supposedly cut down your headaches. The thing that's impressive about this is that it's FDA approved as of yesterday. And so we'll be one of the first to handle that lens and apply it, and we'll see what it can do. So your theory on blue light and mine differ, but that's okay too.
Well, the other thing we know is, and we talk about, is taking breaks. What's your general rule as far as whether it be just kids at home, playing games, or somebody who's just staring at the computer? What would you say as far as taking breaks, or how long they should, if they're looking at it for 3 hours at a time, as far as telling parents, what would you recommend as far as taking some breaks?
The American Optometric Association, which is our national body that governs optometrists, believes in the 20-20-20 rule. And that is, you use every 20 minutes of computer viewing, you gaze at something 20 feet away for 20 seconds, and you give your eyes a break. And the muscles and all the stuff that goes on in the eye to see, you just give it a rest. Just like if you were picking up bricks, you'd stop for a while, give your muscles a rest, then go back and pick them up again.
Well, and the other thing is when you stare at a computer screen, they've done some studies to show that even if you're reading a book the same amount of time you're looking at the computer, you blink more looking at the book than you do the pixels in the computer screen. So, taking that break, making sure you're blink, closing the eyes, making that tear film re-wet, making sure it doesn't dry out. Those are things that can certainly help you. And we deal with dry eyes. I think that's the biggest complaint I have day in and day out is dry eyes. And staring at the computer doesn't tend to help that. It tends to make it worse.
No, it's become academic now. Sorry, not academic, epidemic.
Yep.
And that means that it's occurring in greater and greater frequency and to greater and greater numbers of people.
Well, on the computer in general, I have a few patients that will ask me and say, hey, I can see the computer okay. And that's true. There's sometimes we give glasses because patients can't see certain things. Like me, I'm nearsighted. I can't see anything far away without my glasses or contacts. But some patients have lower prescriptions, but, wearing the glasses isn't necessarily to help them to see better. It's to help the eyes not have to squint, work, and focus as hard, which for doing that 4, 6, 8 hours a day, that little bit of prescription can add up to fatigue, can add up to headaches, blurriness, strain throughout the day, especially spending that much time on the computer.
Absolutely. The analogy I try to use in folks that want it simply stated is it's like a slow leak in a tire. You won't get a flat right away, but at the end of the day, you'll be flat.
Well, we talked about going back to kind of as far as why you need that annual eye exam and why we certainly recommend that most patients, certainly with any systemic conditions, but even autoimmune diseases. I've seen so much stuff lately, whether it just be Sjogren's or rheumatoid arthritis. I don't even think most patients realize that sleep apnea plays a role with the eyes as well. There's so many things systemically that affects the body, but also can affect the eyes as well.
It's all connected. It's all one system. And it shouldn't be surprising that other systems affect the eye and the eye affects other systems. So what you're saying, just like the number 2 cause of blindness is diabetes. So most people would know that their prescription is changing. They don't get to the why of it. They just fix it. Well, that's why it's important to have a bunch of equipment and a bunch of tests and a bunch of time spent I'm finding the why out of why you can't see. And that's the most important thing that we accomplish during the day.
Well, I would say I don't know what you're seeing every day. I know as far as the patients I see, the majority of them, I would say probably 60, maybe even 65, 70% are diabetic. Well, would you think it's higher and lower for you? But I know there's
it depends on the locations.
Yeah.
You know, we have different locations in different areas of town and different socioeconomic groups that come see us. And so it varies as a function of that. And some are good about taking medications and some groups are not, and some believe in it and some don't. And, you know, it's kind of like the measles vaccine in Florida. People aren't taking it now, so we've just had an outbreak.
Well, let's go through, since we brought up locations. If you want to, you can go through it or I can go through it, but we've got 5 locations. I often say we have a box around the Pensacola area, but go through the locations, at least maybe streets, and where they can find us as far as patients that are looking to get an eye exam, whether it be because of vision or whether it be because of health.
Well, our first office was in Milton, Florida, at 5583 Stewart Street, right down from the high school. And it's on the left, and it's not hard to spot at all. Our second location is in Foley, Alabama, right on McKenzie Street, or Highway 59 going to the beach. And you can't miss us. We're right next to the city park. Our third location is at 113 Palafox Place downtown, across from the Sanger Theater. And that's fairly central to downtown Pensacola. And our fourth office is on 9 Mile Road, where they built a new Publix on Beulah Highway and 9 Mile Road, right across from Navy Federal. Our last office, or our first, or one of the other offices, was, which one did I skip?
I think Fairfield is the one you hadn't said. I believe that, yeah.
So we're at 800 North Fairfield Drive. We're on Lillian Highway in Fairfield where they cross. There's a CVS across the street and a big mall on the right. We're on a corner, and that we service the west side of Pensacola there.
Well, the other thing I'll say, too, is with Terrezza Optical website, but each office has their own individual numbers, and we take I would say we take 98, 99% of most vision and medical insurances that are out there. So if you have vision or you have a medical insurance, give us a call. If you hadn't had an eye exam in a while, we certainly want to get you in and check and make sure you're seeing the best you can, and to make sure the eyes are healthy and to prevent anything that we can prevent now from getting worse, later on. So give us a call. But even if you don't have vision insurance, if you have medical insurance, if you go see your primary care physician, we usually take most medical insurances as well. And if we find a medical diagnosis, we can certainly bill that medical insurance.
I agree. And we have, when other places say that they take insurance, they just say, here's your forms, your 16 forms, you make the calls, you fill it all out, you find the appropriate numbers. We have a 6-person staff full-time that fills out insurance for you, files it, and does all that. All you have to do is call and come in, and that's that. And that's a very big difference for you. Also, we're better at filing those things, and we get the insurance companies to pay for you.
And the other thing that I get questions about a lot from patients is we have slots open in the schedule. Even though we may be booked out a few weeks as far as like a full routine exam, we do leave spots for office visits, emergency office visits. Let's say you got hit, you were weeding in the yard, the other day or something, or you got hit in the eye. Certainly if you can always give us a call, we'll work you in. Oftentimes the same day, just depending on the severity, get you in to get that taken care of. So don't, just because it's a couple weeks booked out full, a lot of patients will ask me and say, I didn't know I could, you could be seen the same day for a red eye or if it's hurting. So just give us a call. If it's bothering you, it certainly wants, we want to take care of it. So definitely give us a call at one of the offices.
That's been our tradition of doing that, and that will continue.
And the other thing I think we have to our advantage is you have your, our own lab as far as making glasses. So we want to do what's best for the patient. We're not, married to any particular brand. We fit whatever we need to and whatever's best for the patient.
That's a big point. So a lot of the big companies in town that are, by the way, not Pensacola based, they use the materials and the drugs and the lenses and frames that they buy in bulk, but then you only have that particular choice to pick from. We're an independent, like an independent insurance agent. We just don't do State Farm or Allstate. We do them all, and we have access to them all, so the variety is going to be much better and bigger and better for you at an independent organization. And also, we have our lab, so we order the blanks from these companies, and then we make them in-house. It's kind of like a pizza place that makes the pizzas in-house as opposed to getting them shipped in from Detroit.
So, yeah, I mean, so it's, you go to some places, I've heard from patients, hey, they have their own contact lenses, or this is the brand they fit me with. We are open to, we have every brand as far as contact lenses, every brand as far as glasses. Whatever is going to be best for that patient is going to, cure whatever issue they have. That's what we're going to fit them with. And we want patients to be secure in that, and certainly, know that we're going to do what's best for them. We went through a little bit as far as glaucoma, diabetic retinopathy. What are some other, you would think, maybe conditions or systemic conditions of reasons why patients should have an annual eye exam? Anything else you can think of we didn't cover?
In terms of the health issues, they may have, we can get into more bizarre cases. There was a lady came and see me with pulsatile tinnitus.
Yep.
That means the ringing in her ears was at a certain beat, and the beat corresponded to her heartbeat. And that, along with her dizziness and her problems with her vision, led me to run a field test which measures her side vision. And it turns out she'd had an infarct in the cerebral lobe, the occipital lobe, and didn't know it. And I sent her off to a neurologist, and he's running tests, and we'll see what her treatment pattern is going to be.
Well, I think that's it. As far as just, there's so much difference, I think. There's places patients can go and just get a pair of glasses, right? You get maybe some contacts. But if a patient comes in to us and they say, hey, I can't see clearly, or my left eye's gotten worse, or, this right eye, the last 6 months I haven't seen, it could be the glasses. But unless we look at the eye as a whole, look at maybe potential for cataracts, look at the cornea, look at the retina, there's no way to know for sure that it's something, if it's the glasses or something else. And so when you come in to see us, we're going to check everything there is, and at the end of that exam, most oftentimes be able to explain what's going on. And if we can't explain what's going on, we're certainly going to get you to a specialist, and we're going to work together to get to the root of the problem.
I agree. That's the big difference. So there's an economic reason why our model is superior, and we spend the money, which is in some cases approaches $100,000 per machine, to get the right equipment in to make these kind of diagnoses. But if you don't have that, then you can cut your overhead, do a crummier job, and then limit the kind of materials you have, and you come up with a low price for an eye exam. That's not an economic marvel there, but it's not the right way to go.
No, and oftentimes the glasses, even though we want to get that right, that's the easier part of the exam. The harder part is to look at the health and to kind of break down, what's going on and what changes are happening year to year, or if you have family history of something, looking a little bit closer to make sure, at the macula, there's no drusen, there's none of this that could be affecting the patient short term and long term. But we wanted to kind of go through again and say we're the Eyecare Experts. Thanks for listening in to us. This is our first podcast, so we're learning. But in the future, we're certainly going to be taking questions from patients, whether you're listening or viewing. So if you want to log into our Facebook page, we're going to have posted any questions you have for yourself or a family member, a problem maybe you have with the eyes, whether it be vision or health or just something weird going on. Certainly, send it to us, because we're going to be doing numerous podcasts going forward, and we'd be happy to take that question and do the best we can to answer it for the patients.
We look forward to that, especially when we get our timer fixed so we don't talk too long.